May 6th board meeting. This time I'll call to order and ask Commissioner Nickel if he'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow your heads. Heavenly Father, thank you for another wonderful day. Lord, please continue to bless us with... Lord, please continue to bless us. Lord, I ask that you be with this board. Lay your hand on them. Give us the guidance in order to lead this county. Lord, please be with the rest of our emergency services, military, and first responders. Also be with our teachers, Lord, and give us the best direction to lead this county.
That was a bad one. It's all right.
You did great.
All right, this time we'll consider any additions or deletions to the published agenda.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to accept the agenda as published.
Second. Motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, Madam Clerk. All right, this time we'll consider the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, Madam Clerk. Okay, the next item is the public comment period. As many of you know and have been here before, you have 3 minutes. The total of speakers are not to exceed 30 minutes. Any personal attacks, profane language will not be tolerated. At this time, before we have anybody speak in person, I have a stack of emails here that are generally in support of additional personnel for the animal shelter. They've been asked to be read into the record. Because there's close to 30 of them, we're not going to do that, but each commissioner has been provided with a hard copy to read. Now, having said that, we'll move on to Mr. Johnny Adams. First one signed up.
Morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Johnny Adams, 404 Executive Drive, Lillington, North Carolina. I come today again asking for what 20 states in America offer to 100% total and permanent disabled veterans. Those states are Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Hawaii, Illinois, Iowa, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, Mississippi, Nebraska, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Carolina. Anybody ever heard of South Carolina? Texas, Virginia, and West Virginia. Again, these are ad valorem taxes that are exempt for 100% total and permanent disabled veterans. And if you notice, the state that has the 3 largest military bases in the free world is not on there. That would be the state of North Carolina. And this is Military Appreciation Month, May, and I'm asking the the county of Harnett to maybe be the first of 100 counties to give what the other 20 states give 100% total and permanent disabled veterans. I know that y'all been told from the county manager what this would cost, but just like Mr. Nicole said earlier, we're a very blessed county, and even though it would cost what Mr. Trout said it would cost, there's over 5,000 homes being built right now in the county because we are a blessed county. So again, in remembrance of Military Appreciation Month, maybe the county commissioners could, step up and be the first of 100 counties in the state of North Carolina to offer the same thing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Larry Mitchell.
Morning, Commissioners. My name's Larry Mitchell. I live on 478 Century Drive in Cameron, in the neighborhood of Lexington Plantation. I'd like to thank the county manager for the 2024 legislative priority document posted on the Harnett County website. Um, The list of priorities are available on this document, and I reviewed them. It lists the exclusion of the home tax for veterans as an additional priority. I'm glad it's on the list, but it should be moved up to one of the top priorities. Us veterans from Vietnam era, the war was ended in 1975. So us veterans are fading away fast, and putting a priority on this is very important. And I'd like to thank the county manager for posting that on the website. Another item that I like to bring up is Sawyer Road in Cameron. There's a lot of residents complaining about the speeders, the loud noise, and cars ranging from 10 p.m. to 3 in the morning. I do walk the neighborhood about 1 in the morning with my dog, and it is loud. A lot of police and a lot of fire trucks out there. So a lot of residents are complaining, like to see more patrolling of that area. Looking at the map outside, I see the eastern side of the county. The small towns have their police force, but in the western side, we need to look at maybe putting a field office out there for the sheriff's office. There's a lot of residents out there, especially in my neighborhood, that need assistance. I've called the deputies before, and they're there pretty fast when I call them when there's a incident happening at 2 in the morning. So I really appreciate that. Another event is coming up May 18th at the Jetport, the Jamboree, and the opening of the new terminal. As you see by my attire, this is important for me as this event comes up. I'll be working with the Board of Education to see if we can get a vocational education for aviation mechanics for our young people in this county. It's very important that we have our youngsters get educated and get their A&P license and able to work at the Jetport in the future. So Board of Education really needs to look at this. Thank you very much.
Brock?
Good morning, Commissioners and County Manager Trout. I'd like to, 5220 Christian Light Road, Rebecca Brock. You guys have had, that's a pretty comprehensive budget that you've produced. And I found that there was a lot of thinking that went into that by the departments. Looked like there was a lot of planning, as well as hiring of talented people, reclassifications going on, and that's really wonderful. And from what I hear from just an informal inquiry, employees are happy, and that's really wonderful. Congratulations. Also, that Harnett County is not raising the mill levy. However, our tax rate will stay the same, but our property values are going to go up. Therefore, our revenues are going to rise, as well as costs to service those new homes are going to rise. Seemed like there were three main areas. Law enforcement was going to get a potential increase, which is very reasonable. Education was going to get a small per pupil increase, even though we'll still probably rank in the 90th percentile for what we pay per pupil in the state. And there's some predictable pressures on the county services due to that growth that you're trying to cover. There were department expansion plans, which I was pleased to see, and I'm hoping with you as commissioners that you're thinking about the future revenues and how that's going to cover what our citizens are going to need. Because I think we're behind the 8 ball in this growth. There was no money for nonprofits, I noticed. It's a good plan, but I hope that there will be more transparency about your decisions and the backgrounds that you bring to those decisions. So there's no more election year favored programs. There's no more nepotism on fees or favored constituents or developers. And I expect all 5 of you to deliver solid decisions that may not be popular, but that we need now and going into the future for Harnett County, because we are sandwiched in between 2 large burgeoning counties, Wake and Cumberland. And right now we're feeling that squeeze. So good plan, County Manager Trout. I hope you all approve it. But I hope you continue, I should say, projecting for the future and not with yourself in mind. Thank you.
All right, Heather Will. Okay.
I am Heather Wilhoit. My address is 1090 Whiffen Road. We have a 5-acre hobby farm that is surrounded by hundreds of acres of forest and land. We have 2 neighbors. And for the last 3 years, our neighbors have made it a priority to do anything in their power to harass us. We have a huge neighbor issue. She has been abusing our cats and using the ordinance to justify the abuse. Our cats have come home beat up, shot, terrified for the last 3 years. She has tried to run them over with her car. Her dogs chase them. She chases them. We have done everything in our power that is humane to try to keep them on our side of the fence. Last year, she baited, trapped, and tortured, then released our cat. He came home soaking wet and scared out of his mind. When we called the animal control, we were given a citation because our cat left our property. We don't want them leaving our property. We don't want them over there. But the thing is, cats and dogs are different. You can put up a fence and keep a dog in. Cats go over fences. Dogs are trainable. Cats do what they want. Dogs can be kept inside a fence, whereas a cat will jump anything to get out. They do not understand boundary lines, and they have a natural instinct to roam and hunt. Our cats, when we have a mouse in our chicken house, they will sit there until they catch it. They will go to where there is prey, which our neighbor's yard is completely gross and overgrown. They go there to hunt. It is their primal instinct. If you cannot stop a dog from barking, you cannot stop a cat from roaming. Okay? There needs to be a valid reason to trap a cat, not because you hate your neighbor. And animal control should be able to decipher a situation. If it's obviously not an animal issue, they should not have to enforce a law that is nonsense to begin with. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We'll move on to item number 6. Consider approval for a resolution to direct expenditure of opioid settlement funds.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. Presented this at our last work session, but this is our second resolution to allocate opioid settlement dollars. This one specifically for naloxone distribution of the one-time $20,000 allotment. What makes this resolution different than the previous one is it's being approved under our new process, which is, again, as I mentioned, to go through the subcommittee, go to executive committee for approval, and then to the opioid task force for approval, which was unanimous. So therefore, we would ask that you approve this resolution to allocate $20,000 for the upcoming fiscal year for naloxone distribution that will be done through our health department.
Chairman, following the previous discussion we had at the work session last week and the information that was provided, questions that were answered, I will make a motion that we approve this request, use of these opioid settlement funds.
Second. All right, motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Pale. Now, the presentation of the budget message and the recommended 24-25 budget.
Thank you, Chairman. 1 second. Well, what I'd like to do, Chairman, is cover a few items as it relates to basically reviewing the budget message that's included in your budget book. That message outlines in pretty good detail some of the main points as it relates to our budget. But I'm not going to go through it all at this point because we'll have future meetings where we'll go through in more detail as it relates to the budget. So the work on the budget for fiscal year 2025 is complete. Property assessed values increased by approximately $496 million this year. The growth in home construction continues to increase our total assessed valuation to levels never before seen in Harnett County. However, that continued growth creates problems and challenges for us to provide services and to manage the ingrowth of additional people. As was mentioned, our current tax levy rate is 0.591 per 100, and the plan is to keep that levy rate the same as we go into next year. We've seen our property values grow, and that's assisted us with providing new revenues for us to provide to services. As we look at our other types of revenue sources, we've seen increases also in our fees that we receive for the construction that's occurring in our county and also our sales tax. In the previous year, our sales tax went up over 6%, but as we look at how we're finishing this year, we're looking at more of a growth of 2.9%. So based on the information we received from the North Carolina League of Municipalities on our sales tax forecast, we're predicting a 2.2% increase in sales tax for the coming year. We did see a decrease, though, in funding when it comes to Medicaid cost reimbursement. The decrease in sales tax and with the change in Medicaid hold harmless revenues, we're going to lose about $2.1 million in funding from that resource. As we look at our fees, our total budget projection is $173,542,146. That's an increase of $5,471,823 over the previous year. But if you put in a percentage, it's actually only a 3% growth in our total amount. As we continue on and we look at an important resource for us is our funding that we provide to our emergency management service, EMS services for the various rescue squads in the county. Last year, we provided a 10% increase to our rescue squads in order to provide them the funding they need to operate. This year, we're recommending a 17% increase to those rescue squads, and that breaks down basically a 10% allocation for their operations, and then also a 7% increase to offset the loss of Medicaid settlement funds. What we've done in the past is that when we receive the final amounts from the state as it relates to Medicaid, we then pay that out to the rescue squads. This year, we've done a calculation and we'll provide that funding to them with a 7% increase throughout the year, and then we will keep the Medicaid settlement dollars. That makes it a lot easier and a better system for processing handling their expenses that they have throughout the year rather than waiting to the end. As we look at our fire departments throughout the county, 2 have requested increases. The Angier Black River Fire Department's requested a 1-cent increase in their levy rate. I'm recommending approval of that. And again, this year, West Area asked for a 4-cent increase to raise from 11 cent to 15 cent. This is a small area of our county that's covered by a fire department that mainly functions in Cumberland County, but covers an area for us. As it relates to the schools, we are looking at providing additional funding to the schools. We're looking at adding an additional $2.5 million to their funding, raising it from $28,301,000 to $30,804,000. This will raise the amount per student from $1,321.51 to $1,416.17. That additional funds will be available to help increase the local supplement pay to our teachers and other certified and classified staff. We also provide funding to 2,048 charter school students that decide not to go to Harnett County schools and instead attend a charter school. We make that contribution in order to assist because that money is lost to the school, and it provides assistance for them to cover that gap. When it comes to employees, we're looking at compensation study. We saw and provided large increases to many staff persons last year based on the compensation study that was completed. That has put us in a good spot. We're seeing a stronger retention and recruiting effort, and it's paying off. Last year, when we ended the budget, we had 101 vacancies. This year, we have 51 vacancies. So it's having an impact. 32 of those current vacancies, though, are in our public safety department, so we have some work to do there. I'm recommending in this budget a 3% cost of living adjustment for all employees, and also continuing the performance pay increase for those individuals that have a meets expectation positive performance evaluation. Basically making, for most employees, a 4.5% increase in their salary in the coming year. Also, we had an increased cost to our health insurance, but we're deciding to cover that 3% increase with our county funds, not passing any of that expense on to the employees. We also have to cover an additional amount of retirement contribution, 0.9% for law enforcement officers and 0.7% for county employees. We've seen that number go up every year, and it's in order to keep pace with the inflation for retirement for individuals at the end. I'm recommending hiring and creating 16 new positions within our county. Of those, 9 positions are in Harnett Regional Water and 7 are in the general fund area. We have 12 reclassifications and a couple of other special salary adjustments to individuals that have received certifications. A couple of other highlighted programs that we have for county initiatives, looking to continue the program that is supporting Central Carolina Community College's Small Business Development Center. This is helping grant $5,000 to individuals that win the business plan competition that they have. We're also providing in this funding for in-person customer service training for county employees. We have identified over 250 employees that we needed. We've identified to receive that training. It'll be the first time this has been accomplished in many years. Also looking to create a new management academy this year. We often appoint individuals to become supervisors and then don't provide them training in order how to be a supervisor. Working with Central Carolina Community College, these individuals will attend 9 one-day sessions throughout a 9-month period to help them to understand better the demands of being a supervisor and give them the tools necessary so that they can be successful. That will entail 18 individuals that will be trained, and we look, hopefully, if it goes well the first time, to continue this program to make sure our supervisors are better prepared for the future. We also have different fundings for additional programs for Parks and Rec and the library. The good news about those additional programs is the fees to attend those programs typically pay for the cost of creating and establishing them. We also this year are looking at a number of items as it relates to using for one-time expenses our American Rescue Plan funding. When we received the expansion requests from our department directors, many of them we could not cover with the funds that we had available from the normal general fund. We decided that some of those one-time expenses could be used from our supplanted funds that we have from American Rescue Plan and move some of those items forward rather than waiting. So eventually, about $1,031,000 will be utilized in order to pay for those projects. We have that funding available, and it is a good use as a one-time expense. A couple of other initiatives for the county that will be continuing. We completed the performance management process last year, and we're currently working on our business plans. Those should be implemented as we go into fiscal year 25. We'll see, I think, a better, more directed approach to many of our departments as they continue to do their work. Also comment that our broadband effort is paying off. We're starting to see efforts that are moving forward by Cloudwise to finish phase 2 of the funding that we gave them. Also to see Brightspeed finish their GREAT grant, and we expect to have an announcement soon on a second GREAT grant. The scope of work for our CAB grant is out and published, and we'll hopefully have an announcement soon. A couple of other small items you'll see in an expanded budget are funding, the approved funding for the Y for their 3 years for additional work for the before and after school program. A recommendation for some funding for the Boys and Girls Club's additional after school program. And then also, if the board were to decide to move forward with nonprofits, we actually did put $75,000 aside if they were to determine to decide to fund nonprofit. We'll be bringing the revised policy and bylaws to the board next week for review. As we go through the budget process, we'll have that information. I guess to sum up, as we look forward, our budget provides for the funding needs of our schools, community college, and all our departments, provide quality service and support to the citizens of Harnett County. Proposed budget provides increases in order to operate our government and covers new expansion items related to keeping up with our growing county and operations. It does not cover it all. You'll see there are many other expansion requests that were provided by the department directors that we could not fund. Those, though, we'll continue to keep track for the future budgets. I want to thank Carolina Community College, Harnett County Schools, our fire and EMS departments, and other community partners for their collaboration on this budget. I want to thank the department directors for their assistance, our finance director, Kimberly Honeycutt, and most importantly, Lisa McFadden, our budget director. Without these individuals, we could not put this budget together. In the future, we have a joint session planned with the Board of Education on May 14th to discuss their budget request. We'll present additional budget details next week on the 14th with a budget hearing conducted on May 20th, 2024. We will have the item of the budget on May 28th work session as a discussion item in case there are any additional questions. We're hoping for final approval of the budget for June 3rd, 2024. Look forward to receiving your comments and questions and direction over the next month regarding the proposed budget. Thank you.
All right, any questions for the manager?
Okay. Nonprofits. Understand that you are working to bring the nonprofit organization back. And I certainly appreciate that because there are a lot of nonprofits in this county that will need that money, that whatever funding you give. But I see you to have two organizations that are nonprofit, and you plan to fund them. My proposal is that we look at waiting until we bring this program back together before we start funding different nonprofit organizations. I don't understand why we're funding the Boys and Girls Club, because they have funds coming in. And as far as the YMCA out there in the western part of the county, I'm not going to say anything negative about it because I helped fund that for it to be built there. I don't think we should be spending nonprofit money now for organizations until we come up with a plan. That would be only fair to all nonprofit organizations in this county. Also, I know that we are paying a lobbyist to lobby for our needs for the county. One of the needs that we need in this county, as well as all the counties in the state, is more money being put into education. Harnett County is growing rapidly with new citizens in this county. But we cannot keep up, and the new citizens cannot keep up with the needs of our schools. Because I've seen on the news, I've talked to my legislators, whereas the state legislator is planning to put a huge block of money in to private schools. but they're not putting that kind of money into public schools. And I encourage us as commissioners to talk to our lobbyists and have them to lobby on getting more funding into the public education department. And I'm hoping what I'm saying is not offending anyone, because these are things that I truly believe in. I don't believe in spending money for nonprofit unless we put in a plan for every nonprofit in this county to benefit for it, if it's there, if the amount of money is there. So that's what I got to say.
Any other comments for the manager? All right, hearing none, I guess at this point we move on to the county manager's report.
Chairman, I have nothing further other than ask for approval of our budget amendments as requested by the finance officer.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, Madam Clerk. Item number 9, new business. Consider a special sponsorship request for Harnett Regional Jetport Ribbon Cutting Event. A potential sponsor for the terminal ribbon cutting event would like to donate 10 porta-johns and 1 handicap porta-john rental and services in lieu of a platinum $1,500 sponsorship.
Chairman, I was going to just mention that as part of our process that we do when we accept donations, bring it before the board for approval of those donations. This is a very helpful donation for our event by Forever Clean.
Make a motion, we approve this sponsorship.
I second it.
All right, motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, Madam Clerk. Mr. Counselor, is there no need for a closed session, sir?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, Madam Clerk.